Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Origins of Expressions. Today, we'll be going over the phrases go pound salts, worth my salts, take it with a grain of salts. What do they all have in common? They're all phrases and idioms around salts. Let's get right to work and start this video. Sodium chloride, aka salt, is essential for human life, and until the invention of canning and refrigeration was the primary method of preservation of food. Not surprisingly, it has been considered valuable. And of course, if there is value to something in our lives, we will find it in idioms and phrases that help us express our thoughts and feelings around it. Today, we'll explore 3 idioms around this very important mineral. Let's not waste time and jump right into our first idiom. Go pound salts. Go pound salt is a saying that means you are annoyed with someone and you want them to go away. So you give them a task to go do, so they leave. Ugh, go pound salts. This phrase is not that old and started out a bit differently than what we use today. The saying started out in the late 1800s as go pound sand. This was primarily used in America. A fun article in the St. Paul's Globe in 1886 has a story that includes go pound sand. It reads, I have always umpired baseball from the grandstand. Nothing affords me more pleasure now than to sit on a hard board in the grandstand and devote my time to yelling, kill him, cut his feet off, go pound sand, and other rhetorical gems at the umpire. This phrase then changed for a bit to go pound sand in your ears. We then started to see salt being used instead of sand. We see vulgar sayings to pound salt in uncomfortable places, one of the most famous being from the farmer Max Yasker. He was the man who owned the farm in Bethel, New York, where the Woodstock Music and Art Festival was held. It was said that he had an argument with the local public figures about the festival, and he said, well, y'all can go pound salt up here because come August 15th, we're gonna have a festival. Today, we can still use this phrase as a way of telling someone to go away, find something else to do, or just leave me alone. An example sentence is, Charles, why don't you go pound salt instead of bugging me? I'm trying to do my homework. Well, it looks like he does not want to be bugged. Let's let him study while we move to our next phrase. Worth my salts. Worth my salt means you want to prove you can be effective and efficient, that you deserve your pay. The origin of this idiom is not very old, even though salt being used as money has been around for a while. The word salary derives from the Latin word salarium. Latin also has the word salt as sal. So using salt as money, or another word for money, has been around for a while. So worth my salt is really saying I'm worth my salary. The phrase worth my salt, however, has not been around for that long. It does have an older sister phrase with a similar meaning from the 13th century, worth one's weight in golds. But that's another video. Worth my salt wasn't first seen in writing until 1805 in The African Memoranda by Philip Beaver. It read, Haley's has been my most useful man, but of late not worth his salts. Today, we do not use this phrase as much, but if we do use it, it is a way of saying you are worth a lot, that you will earn your pay. You will prove you are worth your salary. An example sentence is, any teacher worth their salt is able to inspire their students. Well, it looks like they are busy teaching, so let's step away so they can work as we move to our next phrase. Take it with a grain of salts. Take it with a grain of salt means to accept something while maintaining a degree of skepticism about the truth. Like when your friend's telling you a crazy story and you're finding it hard to believe, take it with a grain of salts. The idea with this phrase comes from the fact that food is more easily swallowed if taken with a small amount of salt. So why can't a crazy story, right? There's a very early text about taking a concoction with salt from Philinius Naturalis Historia in 77 CE. Translates into modern English, it reads, after the defeat of the mighty monarch Mithridates, Gaius Pompeius found in his private cabinet a recipe for an antidote in his own handwriting. It was to the following effect: take 2 dried walnuts, 2 figs, and 20 leaves of rue. Pound them all together with the addition of a grain of salt. If a person takes this mixture fasting, he will be proof against all poisons for that day. As time went on, many scholars studied Old Greek texts and found Philini's book. After that, the phrase, take it with a grain of salt, started popping up in literature. In the 1600s, the first written record was from John Trapp in 1647 in Commentary on the Old and New Testament. It reads, this is to be taken with a grain of salt. So, if you think someone is telling lies or stretching the truth, take it with a grain of salt. It means you will let them talk, but this does not mean you have to believe them. An example sentence would be, it's important to take any movie rating or review with a grain of salt. Let's let them finish their movie as we move on. Ooh, fun fact. Did you know that salt is an essential element in human life? With that said, if you drink too much water, you can flush out the necessary salts in your body. However, on the other hand, the consumption of too much salt can also be harmful. Every cell in the human body contains salts, and an adult body contains about 200 to 250 grams of salts. The human body requires sodium to conduct nerve impulses, move muscles, and maintain correct levels of water in the body. The World Health Organization recommends an intake of 5 grams of salt per day for an average person. So make sure you watch your salt intake. Not too much and not too little. Well, that's the information that I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed learning about where our idioms and phrases come from. If you did, I would love to have you subscribe to the channel. I hope I proved to you that I'm worth my salt. You can show me by subscribing to the channel. It's quick, it's easy, and free. And of course, I would really appreciate it. Oh yeah, quick question before you go. Do you know any idioms or phrases around salts? Maybe you know other idioms or phrases on an entirely different subject. I would love to see them. Leave them in the comments below. And if I use one of the phrases, I'll give you a shout out. Thank you again for watching and subscribing. I really appreciate your support. Until next time, bye.